Today we're doing a deck profile on Runick Plunder. I think Runick Plunder is great at recycling its Runick's cards over and over while using Blackbeard to bring out Lease, which is amazing monster negate by discarding a Plunder Patrol, which will trigger our Plunder Patrol cards. We'll get straight into the deck profile. We'll of course start off with the best Plunder Patrol card in my book, which is Whitebeard. Whitebeard allows you to be, when it is discarded or sent from field to grave, you can special a Plunder Patrol card, Plunder Patrol monster from your deck. Of course, this does lock you into Plunder Patrol monsters for the rest of this turn, but overall, I think by the time you get through this, your Runick stuff will be done. You play 3 copies of Golden Hair, which is probably the second best Plunder Patrol card in the deck. Golden Hair will allow you to special her if you discard a Plunder Patrol, which will trigger your Plunder Patrol cards. If she's in grave, you can also discard a random card from your hand to special herself out, once again triggering your Plunder Patrol monster effects. You play 2 copies of Black Eyes. Black Eyes is really good. If this card is in your hand, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from your grave back to your hand to special Black Eyes, which is amazing to get follow-up for the following turns. Its second effect is if it was sent from the monster field or hand to the grave, you can target 1 Plunder Patrol card and then put it in our spell and trap zone. Target 1 Plunder Patrol card in our spell and trap zone and special summon that monster out. We play 2 Bluebeards. Bluebeard is really good. If you control a Plunder Patrol card, you just get a free special summon of a level 4. But if this card is sent from field or hand to grave, you're allowed to discard a card and then draw a card, which is great to recycle Runicks, send Runicks to grave, so you can activate it like a Slumber, perhaps, and then trigger Fountain, drawing more cards. We also do play 1 of the Redbeards. Redbeard in this deck is kind of just a name. Its effects aren't very useful, but it is another Plunder Patrol card with a different name. With our Plunder Patrols, we also play 1 of the field spells for Plunders. This allows us to discard a card and then add a Plunder Patrol card from deck to hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap zone and set this card, and if you do, return that target to the hand. So it just recycles itself if necessary. Moving on to our Runicks, we're playing 2 Fountain because we are only allowed to play 2 Fountain. This is the recycler of the Runick spells, which is amazing to draw cards off of. For our Runick spells, we're going to start off with 3-tip. 3-tip, you always play 3-tip. You want to draw into tip. Tip searches other Runick cards from your deck. It is amazing. Of course, it has the effect also that you could special a Runick extra deck monster. We're going to play 3 Flashing Fire. Flashing Fire is great. It is the monster negate on field for the Runick cards. Of course, it has the same effect as Runick Tip to special. We play 3 Phrasing Curses. This is the special summon monster destruction for your opponent. Of course, it has that special summon again. 3 Destruction. This is a spell and trap pop, which is great for many decks nowadays having a field spell. Of course, it has the same effect. Once again, specials a Runick. 3 Slumber. This is the first time a monster would be destroyed. It will not be destroyed. Of course, it specials the same Runicks from the extra deck. We play only one Smiting Storm. This is our 17th or 18th Runick card, so it's just a little more consistency. I have tried Dispelling before. Dispelling does not work. This is just gonna be more effective than Dispelling. It's gonna be live a lot more as well. For some non-engine, we play a Terraforming. Terraforming is amazing. Search Runick Fountain. If you need Plunder Patrol cards, search the Shipyard. For our hand traps, we play 3 Ash Blossom because it is Ash Blossom. Like, if you're not playing this card, you probably aren't playing any hand traps in the deck at all. With the Ash, we play 3 Effect Veiler. Now, the reason we're playing Effect Veiler over Infinite Impermanence is because if we go into end phase, activate a Slumber just so we could start recycling cards, and we draw Imperm, the card is dead in hand. We don't want to see dead cards in hand. And Effect Veiler is going to be live during our opponent's main phase, which is better than not having Imperm at all. And then we play Droll. Droll is currently the best hand trap in the format, in my belief. I think that Droll just hits like Manadium. It can hit Snake Eyes, Rescue Ace. Any deck can be hit by Droll in some sort of fashion. Although Manadium can play through Droll and be very effective, it does hindrance their like end boards a lot, in my opinion. Moving on to the extra deck, we only are playing 40 in the main deck, so we're seeing as many cards as possible. For our extra deck, we start off with 2 Blackbeard. I've considered playing the 3rd copy, but overall, I have never needed to go into the 3rd copy of Blackbeard. With Blackbeard, we're playing 2 Lease. This is the Monster Negate by discarding a Plunder Patrol card. We play 2 Mork. Mork is the banish of an effect monster our opponent controls. So it's the 2nd best of the ships for Plunder Patrol, but overall you're still going into Lease more. And then we play 1 Baron. This is the target a spell and trap and banish that spell and trap from our opponent's side by discarding a Plunder Patrol card. It's not very useful in most cases, but it is nice to see. It does work very well against like the field spell for Fire Kings, which is tier 0 right now. By banishing it, it will not get its effect off. To go into Lease, we play Jord. Jord is necessary to special a token to our opponent's field and our field, so we're able to go into Lease a lot easier. Because with Fire Kings running around, they're not going into light monsters, and Lease is the most important of our ships. Moving on to the Runicks, we are playing 2 Hugin. Hugin is great. You just special her off of any of the Runick cards, then we discard a card which will trigger our Plunder Patrol cards, and then we get to add the Fountain, which is our recycler for the Runicks. We will play 1 Gary. Gary just adds back our field spell from grave. It's great if long grind games they pop our field spell. We just get to go into it again, and it's an amazing feeling. For our last Runick, we play 1 Sleptir. It is SP Little Knight for Runicks. It's great. It's an amazing card. I don't see why people wouldn't play it, at least at 1. some choices that I've made, I think Dragite is the best level 8 monster to go into, of course, except for like an Omni Negate. I don't believe there are any, to be honest, but it negates spell and traps, which is a great feeling as long as you control a water monster in grave, and all of our main deck Plunder Patrol cards are water monsters. We don't get to go into it as much as I would like because we get locked into Plunder Patrol cards all of the time using the effects, of course. And then we play one of these. I don't know how to say his name, but it is Packbit. Packbit is a very interesting card. If it is special summoned or sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster on the field and put it in the spell and trap zone. Of course, this does not work against Fire King, Snake Eyes, because they love to put their stuff in the spell and trap zone, special it out. But any other deck, it highly will affect its ability to be using cards, and then it's just like a face-up monster in their spell and traps that they do nothing with. It stops them from using cards in a certain place. It just takes away a piece of resource that they would have. For our last extra deck monster, we play Typhon. Typhon is just an amazing board breaker for any deck. If you can fit this in, it is great to go into, and it feels incredible as a board breaker. That is currently everything for my Plunder Patrol Runick. I think the side decks are completely up to user preference, dependent on locals, dependent on if you're going to regionals, OYCS even. So that's why I didn't do a side deck. But other than that, this deck is really fun to play for a small event, for maybe a larger locals, or even a regionals. I think it would do really well at. Of course, the YCS probably not as good as what you're gonna get out of like Snake Eye, Fire King. But overall, I think it's an amazing water deck, and it is just fun to play.